Good day. Welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Finance Minister Dr. Rashni Singh on Wednesday told investors at the International Energy Conference that Guyana's gross domestic product has tripled in the last 3 years, placing the country in a greater position to take more loans. Dr. Singh said Guyana has been able to prudently manage and reduce the debt to GDP ratio over the past 30 years. The finance minister paused his presentation as he received a resounding applause for the progress the country made in lowering its debt to GDP rate down. He, however, went on straight into his point that this means Guyana is now in a better position to take more loans. In other news, PNCR and APNU-AFC member Mervyn Williams has joined the calls for the revision of the process by which carbon credit schemes are made available to the indigenous peoples of Guyana. Williams' comments come one day after Vice President Bawar Jagdeo met with over 240 representatives of Amerindian communities and announced the various sums that would be disbursed to them as a result of an agreement that indigenous communities would get 15% pay from the $750 million carbon credit earnings it received as a result of the historic Hess Corporation deal Guyana got for its forests. Williams is among those who believe that the communities are being shortchanged by the government given the value of their forests. The opposition member holds the view that the consultative process was not done in good faith and keeping with the UN declarations on the rights of indigenous peoples for free, prior and informed consent. And now let's tell you, Justice Simone Morris Ramlal on Thursday handed down a 22.5-year jail sentence to 45-year-old Shraddhanan Narain, called Anand, for the 2010 murder of his reputed wife, Babita Sarju, and an 18.5-year jail sentence to the hitman, 41-year-old Daryl Ponto, called Yankee. Narain had pleaded guilty to the capital offense and had even admitted that he paid Ponto $100,000 to murder Sarju, the mother of his son. And moving on, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal has requested help with the cracking of several high-profile money laundering cases from the Regional Security System Asset Recovery Unit during a meeting on Thursday at his Carmichael Street, Georgetown office. Specifically, Nandal asked the body to assist the Financial Intelligence Unit, SOCU, in certain high-profile ongoing investigations of money laundering. The team indicated that they have done a comparative analysis between Guyana's existing legislative framework and the model legislation and have flagged gaps in Guyanese legislation. They have also pointed out that the model legislation has a comprehensive regime dealing with both civil and criminal forfeiture, which Guyana should adopt. And now let's tell you, the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, in conjunction with LexisNexis, have announced that international lawyer Ms. Melinda Janke is the recipient of the 6th Commonwealth Law Conference Rule of Law Award 2023. Janke is a rights activist here and also one of the advocates of a better oil deal between Guyana and ExxonMobil. In a press release, the association said the prestigious award recognizes the outstanding contribution of an individual or organization to furthering the rule of law, and the CLA and LexisNexis honor Ms. Melinda Janke for her sustained and resolute efforts to promote the rule of law within her home jurisdiction of Guyana and on the international stage. The press release stated that Janke is an international lawyer for over 30 years standing. And just before we head to a short break, let's tell you the Russia-Ukraine war has etched into the minds of all CARICOM leaders that they must hasten steps to reduce their reliance on outside fuel sources. The time is now to fully hone their God-given resources in the forms of solar, hydro, and wind. The urgency as well as the saliency of this message was restated by Vice President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Isaac Solomon, during his presentation at Guyana's International Energy Conference. Solomon said it is imperative that Guyana, whose energy mix will soon be dominated by gas produced from the Stabroek Block, as well as all other borrowing member countries of the bank, do all that is necessary to rapidly increase the contribution of renewable energy to their supply mix. Pursuing a shift to renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, and hydro, he posited, would go a far way in improving energy efficiency and allow countries to meet their emission reduction pledges. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and at 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We'll return shortly after the break.
You don't have to be a fountain of knowledge to help children with their schoolwork while they're at home. But you do have to be caring, understanding, loving, and patient. It's an unsettling time for everyone, but children still need a safe and secure environment. So don't overwhelm them with endless news items or problems. Keep them gainfully occupied and amused, exercised and rested. Protect our children. A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
It's back again, Guyana. The National Children's Mashramani Competition returns to the National Cultural Center to be held on February 16th and 17th, 2023, beginning at 9 hours daily. Come and see children compete in masquerade, dance, dramatic poetry, and calypso as they vie for top honors. This event is exclusively sponsored by Tropical Rhythms, Chiefys, and Grace Peanut Punch. See you there, mixing and mashing as one Guyana.
Mashing Guyana, people going crazy.
Welcome back. The Chadijagan International Airport has responded positively to the request from officials of the Eugene F. Correa International Airport at Ogle for a baggage scanner. In a press release, the Eugene F. Correa Airport said that the airport's passenger suitcase baggage scanning equipment is now fully operational and in use by passengers traveling through the airport. The airport apologized for the inconvenience caused to passengers whose baggage had to be manually inspected from the scanner not being in operation. In other news, Colombia's fishing industry remains sustainable and viable despite the country's increase in oil production, former President Ivan Duque said at the opening of the second annual International Energy Conference and Expo. The former Colombian leader said this was achieved by extending the country's protected areas from 14% to 34%. Duque shared that Guyana, which has more than 90% of its territory in tropical jungle, is still one of the countries that has one of the lowest levels of deforestation around the world. He noted that as countries advance in energy and as they advance in the transitions and want to build a low-carbon development economy, they also have to ensure that the protected areas are increased for the good and sake of humanity. The British Chamber of Commerce Guyana has been established to promote and facilitate commercial business opportunities and mutually beneficial relationships between the UK and Guyana, its largest trading partner in the Caribbean. The formal creation of the Brit-CHAM Guyana was announced on Thursday as a feature of the Guyana Energy Conference. Alongside the promotion and facilitation of bilateral trade and commerce, Brit-CHAM Guyana is expected to foster an open networking environment where companies can engage and discuss issues impacting their businesses and UK-Guyana trade. And to close things off, the West Africa-South America Alliance Incorporated on Thursday announced its launch at the International Energy Conference. The alliance comprises a number of companies that target skills development, regulatory compliance, and institutional strengthening, among other technical services for the oil and gas sector. Dr. Richard Van West Charles, chairman of the local entity, said 51% of the entity is owned by Guyana, while there are other directors that hail from Africa. He pointed out that the critical need for Guyanese to begin developing their skills as oil production in the country continues. This was how prime ministers were insulted on our soil. Imagine how much more Guyanese would be disgraced for speaking out. Think of how Guyanese protesting against Exxon would be kicked about. Challenge Exxon's dealings, and even the government of Guyana can't do anything. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 9